Right, looks like we're live now.
Perfect. We're just going to be seeing all the people pulling in. We're going to take a few minutes, and maybe not a few minutes, maybe a minute or two to let everybody roll on in and load up the webinar. And then we will start.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat there. Does everything look okay? You guys got sound? Beautiful. That's what we like to see. How is everyone? Oh, our pleasure. Right on. That's so good. Good to see that huge wave of yeses. That's what we like. Yeah, it still looks like some people are trickling in here.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Mike is on fire. Uh-oh. Someone get the water.
Oh, man.
All right, cool. We got about just over 100 here.
Yeah.
Here we were worrying that we were going to be at full capacity, but maybe some people will trickle in as we start going.
Okay, wonderful. Well, yeah, I think we should start then, Caitlin.
Yeah, let's get it going.
Wonderful, cool. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for attending Shogun's first webinar. We are very excited to present to you today, and we're very excited and thankful that you are able to attend and to join us today. So today we are presenting and sharing with you some new feature releases. Our first feature release was our advanced forms, which is now just our forms. It's a complete revamp of how the forms element works. We're going to take a little bit of time and show you what you can do with it and how to use it. And then the second feature release that we're going to be talking about today is the global styles. And so our presenters and our host today is Kalen Christ. He is a team lead with the support team, and he will be presenting and sharing the forms element. And myself, I am Alex Wikitsa. I'm with the customer success team, and I will be presenting our global styles. So we'll have a little bit of time at the end. We'll try and field some questions in the webinars. That's for everybody's benefit. However, we do encourage absolutely everybody, if you have a question, please look at the bottom of your screen there in the webinar. You're able to comment and write and ask questions. And so if you're able to, if you have a question, feel free to ask a question. We have some people that are helping kind of like question goalies to try and answer your questions as quickly and as accurately as we can during the webinar. If we don't answer your question during the webinar, we will follow up with you and we'll send you an answer as well. So without further ado, and last thing, make sure that you follow us so that you're kept up to date of any future webinars that we're going to be releasing. So, okay, now without any further ado, I'll pass it off to Kalen to start the presentation on forms.
Awesome. Thanks for that intro there, Alex. I'll just share my screen here, make sure that that is good to go. You see that there, Alex?
It looks great.
Perfect. Cool. So yeah, I'm Kalen, as Alex said there, and I'm just going to be walking you through the new forms feature that we have here at Shogun. I'm super excited to bring to you guys. It's been a highly requested feature here at Shogun, and finally we have something to show off. So here's just one of our handy dandy templates here that we have that we can that you guys probably are familiar with for setting up your store. For if you want to have an awesome looking website, start with a template like this that you can use. I just brought this up here, and I'm going to scroll down maybe towards the bottom here and start with a section. So I'll just put a new section in here above customer reviews and below this nice drone, and we're going to put our form here. So first thing you'll notice, and you guys probably noticed over the last week or so that we have this new feature here down at the bottom below all of your elements that you're used to. We now have this forms element. This forms element, the way that it works is actually pretty similar to a product box. If you're familiar with our product box element, how you can add in product prices and titles and that sort of stuff, and it pulls from your e-commerce platform. The form box works in a similar way. It's not pulling anything from anywhere, but I can bring in this form box into this section, and it creates this sort of drop zone for that, just like sort of like a product box. And we'll get started just with this here. So this is sort of the container for all of your form elements. So you'll see here, there's a little message at the bottom that says, thank you. The user actually isn't going to see this. This will appear if they were successful with the form and they go through. And alternatively, if they aren't successful, then they'll see a message saying that they still need to fill out a form. A couple things to know about the form box, sort of, again, just the container. You got your form name here. So this is where the sort of the container controls are. You can change your form name over to whatever you want to name it for your data sets. This can be actually quite important too if you're using like an email marketing tool to make sure that you have sort of the right name for your form. For example, I could have like maybe it's feedback. It could have contacts, something like that. Right? You can maybe even put in like the product name that you have for it, and then have a bunch of forms that are related to different products. That way you can keep track of what your data set is for each form. So we'll just call this feedback. And then we can choose what that goes to. So maybe you want to have this sent to your support team so that they can actually, goes right into the support inbox of whatever you have for your content there. Or maybe you want to have this sent to, set to be like an email where you keep all your data, right? So you can have a different email for that potentially. As we move down here, we can change some of the formatting of this. So this thank you message that comes up, again, is a total of all your forms. You can change that to say something else if you want to make it a little bit more customized. And then we have a redirect URL. So this is great if you want to have them redirected to a really nice designed, thank you page where you have information. Thanks so much for filling out our form today, etc. You can actually redirect now to a page that has all that information, or maybe if you wanted to as well, you want them to leave the page and go back to your home page or something like that, you can redirect that way too, right? So obviously you have the option here to open in the same tab, or if you want to have it open in a new tab. And then we have some styling here. So some of the stuff you might be more used to with our Shogun elements. If we want to change the text color of this thank you message, we can do that, make it more green, or we could make it blue instead. Then we have those options. We can change the font and the sizing. Maybe we want to make it large, right? Have all those options there. As you scroll down, again, there's more and more options for changing error text style, etc. And I just recommend playing around with these to have them sort of fit the styling of your site. We move over to the styles tab. Exact same styling that you'd be used to with other elements, being able to change your margins and padding. If you want to, make it maybe close to the middle of your page, you can do that, right? And you have all these options as well for these forms. Change the background color, etc. So that's the form box. Now we can put different elements in here. So from this forms here, we can take our form text input and drag and drop this in. Wouldn't be able to put this anywhere else in the page. It's got to be inside of the form box. So we can drag and drop that into this form box. And then this is the form text input. This is the first one we're going to be looking at. We have a few different options. We can start with text. So this is like a one-line sort of thing, very quick tidbit that you might want to have the person fill out for, 5-6 word answers, maybe a little bit longer than that. If you want to have them, be able to leave like a comment or, something in the form of a paragraph, text area would be more for you. So this is a larger one where there's more space that they can leave an answer. And then, of course, email, which is your bread and butter if you want to collect emails for, a newsletter, or maybe you want to have an option where they can, request a quote, or, maybe you want to have an option where they can find out when a product is back in stock. They're going to put their email in there so that you can contact them that way. Then we have our label. So this is going to be just the top of the form. So right now it just says text input. We can change that to put email. So that everyone knows that the form that they're filling out is for email. And then you also have this placeholder option. So we could put in, a placeholder email, and then the user can press on that and overwrite it. So they sort of know what that is there. You can make the form required. This is going to be an option that you can select on each and every form element, whether or not you want to have it required or not. So for example, like on a contact form, you might put in a form text box for name. Like maybe we change this to name instead of email, and placeholder we just have John Smith. We change that to just text, right? And then maybe we don't require this. We don't mind if they don't put the name. We just want the email. The email is more important. So we can take the form text input, throw this below, make this one for email, and use that placeholder. Okay, whoops, no, that's good. And so we have the name, and then we have the email, and we can make this one required instead. So they can put in their name if they want, so we can address them. But really what we're focused on is making sure that they have that email. Whoops, this is in the input. That's sort of what that would look like, right? And then again, so we just have some more styling for this. If you want to change the way the input text looks, we could make this a different color. Maybe you want them to know that it's, it's not this, so we might want to make it instead of black. We might want to make it blue or a different color. We can change the way that the title works, etc., with all of these different text stylings here. So again, best to just play around with these until you get what you like that sort of matches the styling of your theme. And so we'll move on from the form text input down to the form dropdown. I'll throw this in there. So with the dropdown, we got some new options here. Again, just like before, we have the label, so we could have a something here. I don't know, like what's your favorite color? And then we have our placeholder, so we can make that blue, something like that. And again, this placeholder here, a little bit different than other ones where we had this as the placeholder. It says the email. For the placeholder for your favorite color, for example, we could either have it be one of the options. So you could have it selected by default as option 1, right? So right now when you go to this, it's already got option 1 selected. Or we could turn that off and you can sort of have your placeholder here, right? So now it says blue, so it just sort of lets them know that they can select this, open it up, and then they'll see these other options here. So you can have that placeholder available. If you didn't want to do that, you can just, again, select by default, and maybe blue will be one of your options. So you can put blue, and now it's just selected by default. They'll need to change it. Otherwise, if they hit enter, it's just going to go with whatever the default option was, right? So we can give a couple other options here. Maybe get red in there, orange, because I'm kind of partial to orange. Maybe we want purple in there for Shogun colors. And one of the great things about these different options that I really love is we've set up so the UI is quite easy to use. Let's say I add like a bunch of options here by accident, or I'm just adding a bunch and I decide, well, actually, I only want 7. I don't want these 10 options. Fortunately, you can actually just click X on the option 10, and it will just remove them all one by one without having to move up and down. So I can get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, right down to option 7. You don't have to be scrolling up, scrolling down, moving them around, which you can do, by the way. So we could move these options around if you want to put them in a different location, and that will just change the option number to option 4 in between these. And you can change that, heading there. So we'll just remove this. We'll stick with 3 options for now. And then again, so you'll be able to see those options here. The user will be able to select that, and then they can move on to the next form. Same thing, you got your colors and everything here. We could change the border color if we wanted to, maybe make that a bit thicker, right? We can change background color. We can change our input text style and do a whole bunch of stuff with this. So play around with that. And then we'll move on to our form checkbox. And so we have our checkboxes here, similar to the dropdown, but obviously it's displayed in a different way. Also, with checkboxes, the main difference is that you can select multiple options at once on this form. So we can maybe use this for options if they want to have 3 favorite colors, or if you can think of sort of a practical use for checkboxes where you can have multiple options selected. Everything else works basically identically to how the drop-down feature works. We can add tons of options here. essentially limitless. Just don't want you to go crazy with those to the point where it's overlapping your entire website. But you can really set any amount here that you like, and then you can change these up and have people select multiple, just like that. And so that's sort of the checkboxes. Everything else is pretty much the same. It's just the way that it's displayed. We have the radio button. This is essentially the same as the checkboxes as well. It's just that you're only selecting one instead of multiple. So a little bit more similar to the drop down. It's just different in the way that it's displayed. You maybe want to have them all available out rather than having someone have to click a drop down, right? So those are the radio buttons. And then we have the form submit button. This is actually not a necessary element for a form. If you're filling this out and you have all your values filled in, if you just hit enter on any of these elements when they're selected, then it will submit the form, assuming that you've got everything filled out and all the values fit. But you can also add the submit button, which probably recommended, as most users might not know that they can just hit enter. So you have that option here. The tools on the controls for the submit button, there isn't a whole lot here. It's actually just mostly styling, as most of the things that you'd want to do with the submit button, all the controls that you'd want to do with the submit button are in the form box itself. So maybe at the end, when you get all of these put in here, you go back to your form box, which I can click on here in the breadcrumbs at the bottom. And this is where, again, you would put in those sort of pieces of information like the success style state and the form name, etc. So this is really just for styling. And obviously, it's just someone can click on it. If you wanted to change what it says, you can do that, right? You can change the colors and the text and the font, all very similarly to the rest of Shogun. So that's pretty much how the form element works. That's sort of the basic rundown of how you can use this. And obviously a lot different than our old forms in terms of the functionality and what you can do with it. Some other cool things that you can utilize with this form box that are really cool are here. Let me just go to another page that I have here real quick. So I've got some use cases. So here's like a product, for example. So we have just a product page here, a custom layout product page for a smartwatch. We have all of our product box filled in. So this is actually a product box with our information in it. And then I put a column into this. And I can put my form box into that column, that same column. So I put this below the product information on the right here. And for example, I could have just one that says like an email, like get notified when this item is back in stock. I could throw my email in there and they could hit submit. And I have the form box labeled smartwatch sold out. So I know that if this comes in, it's going to say smartwatch sold out. I know that user gave me their email. I can throw this into Klaviyo or any email marketing tool, and then fire out a bunch of emails when I know that product is back in stock, right? So that's sort of one practical use of this. Show you like another one here. Let's go with like a contact form. Of course, this is probably the most utilized for the forms element. So I have a nice little contact us page here. And what you can do as well, you'll notice on this one, is that I have like the name and the email on the left side, right? And then I have where you leave your comment and the submit button on the right side. So you can actually put the columns directly into the form box, right? So I have the form box. I've added a column into this. You can see with the breadcrumbs. And then I've actually added in these different form inputs right into that column. So you can think of a lot of things you could do with this, right? I could put images in here. I could put a video in here. There's lots of ways that you could have things kind of wrapped around each other with these forms, right? So I think I got a couple more here. So yeah, maybe you have like a survey. It's the last one I have here. Maybe you want to get some feedback about your site. All right, so here you can see that sort of happened. I've put in a column. The form is going along the right side here with all these different options. What product did you order? How long did it take for you to receive your product, etc. I got some images nested in here with the column. And then even though this is, completely detached, right? There's two columns because it's all in the same form box, as we can see by when we highlight that. It's completely surrounded by this form box. It's actually all part of the same form, right? So they could move down here, select these, and we could require this value, and they'll still have to select this, and then they can submit down here for all of these different fields, right? So you have a lot of freedom to how you want to display this, how you want to create your forms, which is really what we aim to do with this new forms feature. Yeah, that's pretty much the rundown here for forms. I know that we have some questions being answered in the chat, and we might be able to get some questions here at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Alex so he can run down our new global styles feature as well.
Thank you so much, Galen. Fantastic stuff there with the forums. And you know what? I'm like so blown away by the amount of engagement in the chat. A lot of great questions being answered. We'll follow up with everybody. And of course, we'll also be sending you links to our help docs that we have available on these new elements as well. So just to confirm, are you able to see my screen now with the Shogun logo and the page that I'm working on?
You're good, Alex. You're good. You're good to go.
Okay, wonderful. So hello, everybody. Alex here again, and I'm just going to go through the global styles and kind of tell you what this is all about. So here's a typical page, and we've got some elements going on here, like a column and an image. We've got our heading and our rich text, and then that very same sort of structure as above, column and image. And all of the elements that you work with in Shogun Page Builder, you're able to have on the two tabs here, the controls and the styles. And so what we've introduced now is global styles. So all of the styles, all the styling options that you have here on the right hand side, pardon me, you're able to save them and assign them a name and apply them to future elements. And you're able to essentially make changes to it, update that style, and any element that has that style already attached to it will get updated. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. So we have here our heading element, our rich text element. It's nested within this column, and this column, or pardon me, it's nested within a section, as you can see in the breadcrumbs at the bottom here. It's nested within a section, and then that's within the column. So we can apply the global styles to all these different elements here. For example, I'm finding that this text is a little bit close to the image down here. And so I know, because I've pre-designed, I've pre-drawn out how I want my page to look. So I know that I want a certain amount of buffer between all my text and the images going on into the future. And so what I can do is just go ahead and click on that text element. I'll click on the styles. I can add a little bit of bottom padding to it. So I can add 35 pixels. And what I can do is go ahead and save that style, right? So I can say bottom padding. I mean, this is very general, and this is just one sort of adjustment that I made. Another adjustment that I would possibly want for this is I'd want a little bit more padding on the left and right, right? So now what I can do is turn on my link again, and I could say I want another bit of a buffer left and right. And see now what it says, bottom padding edited. So it tells me the style that's associated with this rich text element has been updated. There's been a change made to it. And so what I can just simply do is go update style. And now it's updated. Cool. All the other text elements, I can click on them, go to saved styles, and the one that I just created is available for me to apply to it. I'll go ahead and click that, and it applies the styling changes. Very nice. Style. Pardon me, save styles. Bottom padding. There we go. So now we have that, all those changes done instantaneously to all these elements. And if down the road, what I want to do is update any of those stylizations, I just need to make a change and update the style. You'll see. So let's say we want a bigger set of padding. Let's pretend that we want a underline under everything. So we'll go to our box, and we'll add a little bit of an underline. Very cool. And now we can just update our style, and everything has that style associated to it. Same sort of thing with our future text elements. So if I drag and drop one of the text elements somewhere else, I'm able to assign that style to it, and everything that I do within it is already updated. So that's a huge time saver right there. It works for more than just text elements, you're able to do this on all of the elements. And so something important to keep in mind is the style is saved to that element type. And so if I click on an image, you'll see that bottom padding is not available as an option. It's linked specifically to the element type that you build it. This allows for greater accuracy, and it makes sure that if you have any kind of settings, say for example, with device types, right, it's saved for that particular element, because you wouldn't necessarily want all of the same stylizations that you would do for text to be applied to an image. And so just to reduce that confusion, it's linked specifically to that element. Another feature that we have available here with the global styles that's built into it is this is cross-page. So it goes across all the different pages that you have that style saved under. If you have this particular style saved on 5 other pages that are using the text element, it doesn't publish the style change, so it doesn't go live, but it does tell you that the page is outdated, and it gives you an opportunity to make sure that that page should be published. We would hate to publish a page that you have in draft, for example, and so we give you the opportunity to make sure that you actually want it to be published. Another portion of this is the fact that we're able to detach styles. And so if we wanted to, we could create another text element, right? So we'll just copy this one and we'll put it over here. And we can say, okay, we don't want this particular style to be, like this particular global style to be attached to that element anymore. And so we can detach it, and you'll notice that it didn't remove, it didn't like go back to default. And so this is an excellent opportunity to have like a starting place. So if you need to make minor edits to a new style and create a new one, it gives you a starting place to go into it. It doesn't just completely remove absolutely everything from that styling. And so that is how global styles works. And I think we have the opportunity now to take a couple of questions and to answer a couple of questions. And also, I just want to address that I saw some fantastic points, and these kind of suggestions, and if you like tell us how you're using our features and how you believe we can make it better, that's the feedback that we need. We absolutely need that kind of feedback. So yeah, Kaylin, did you want to add anything about the global styling?
No, that's great. Thanks so much for showing that off. And yeah, no, we've got like great questions, as you said, lots of suggestions as well. Of course, we develop our tools with you guys, so always definitely provide us those suggestions. Also, provide us feedback about this webinar. We're obviously very new. This is our very first time. So if there's something you'd like to see more of, you want us to do a webinar on a specific feature, or something that you haven't learned a whole lot about, we'd be very happy to hear what you have about feedback for the webinar as well. So yeah, let us know there in the chat, and yeah, maybe we can answer a couple questions here. I know that some of you were just asking a couple questions about like, for example, cross-screen devices. I just wanted to go over that. So basically anything in the styles for the global styles there on the right side of those, like next to the controls, will be saved. So you could have in your styles, as some of you may know, cross-screen settings. So if you had like margins, you can go into the top right of that, and we could probably put this up on the screen even. Alex, do you think you could? Do you have that there? Can you bring that up and just show them how like the cross-screen settings work on styles? I'm not sure if you went over that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I just have to stop this one here.
Yeah, no worries.
And
I just don't have it up here.
Thanks everybody for your patience while I pull this up.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot, but yeah, so like if you went to the right side where the styles are there.
Yeah, so here we go at the styles. What we have is this icon denoting device screens, and so when we click on the screen, we're able to see different device sizes. So we have our desktop, and it gives you in the tooltip here, it gives you an idea of the pixel size that we use to gauge this. So we can go to, for example, mobile, and now all the changes that we're making here are specifically on a mobile device. And, we might not want this big of a buffer for our padding on a mobile device. And so we can make it smaller, right? And then we'll go ahead and update our style, and everything that uses that style is now optimized for that mobile experience.
Yeah, so and that's just for mobile, right? So because you've set it in that padding just for mobile, this specific style only applies to mobile, but on your desktop and laptop screens or widescreen views, that isn't changed. It's the old, like Alex is showing there, still the 35 pixels. So you can absolutely use global styles to affect all of your devices just in one style. You don't need to make mobile, tablet, desktop. You don't need to make all of them. You could do that, but you could also do it with just one if you wanted to. That applies to all screen sizes. So yeah, we just wanted to go over that there for you.
Cool. Yes.
Do you see another question here that came along here, Alex, that maybe we want to spend some time on screen with? I'm just taking a look here.
I'm hearing actually a lot of the reCAPTCHA, so I think that's a phenomenal idea. Thank you everybody for putting out that'd be a great feature. We'll definitely let our product team know about that. So I just want to kind of address that because I see it coming up quite a bit. And let me see here. Ask a question.
Okay, so there's one from Jeremy that I think is a good one to address as well. I think you might have covered that, but we can just kind of go over that a little bit more. Jeremy asks, is there a way to enable automatic page publishing on global styles that cross page? This is something we're looking at. I don't think we have an option for this just yet, if I'm not mistaken, Alex. But essentially, so what happens is, as Alex was explaining there, when you update the global style, if that global style is like on other pages, so let's say you had that global style across 10 pages and you want to update all of those, once you change that global style, maybe you change the margins or the border, etc., then that will update on all of the different pages, but it won't publish it, right? So then you have to go into those and publish them. What will happen is it will just say on those pages, it will say outdated, right? So it lets you know that the page's save is different than what's published. So you have to go to those pages and publish them. And we are looking at ways to make that easier. But for the time being, you have to go into the page and publish those pages individually to make sure that they're all set and live.
And at the very start of the webinar, somebody had asked which platform we're using for the demo store. And I just want to reassure everybody that this is across all platforms that we operate with. Both of these features, the new form box, which replaces the old form element. So the new form box and the global styles, it's available across all our platforms that we work with. So I think that this wraps up our half-hour mark, and we should take a moment here and thank everybody for attending. We understand that you're all extremely busy and there's a lot on the go right now, particularly this point in history. So thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. And we will send a follow-up to everybody. And for anybody that couldn't attend, we'll obviously send you a recording of it. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate everyone coming in and giving a look at our new features.
Wonderful. Take care, all.
Bye, everybody.